Which brings me to my next point, the utter weakness and incompetence of the United Nations. The United Nations is not a friend of democracy. It's not a friend to freedom. It's not a friend even to the United States of America, where, as you know, it has its home. And it surely is not a friend to Israel.
Do you realize how revolutionary a statement this is? No other American president has ever said anything close to this. This is a concept that America and the rest of the world has desperately needed to hear. This anti-nationalism concept has gone untouched since the UN's founding. And with the coming collapse of the European Union, it is high time to reevaluate this failed notion of world governance.
We, the citizens of America, are now joined in a great national effort to rebuild our country and restore its promise for all of our people. Together, we will determine the course of America and the world for many, many years to come. Because today, we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. Politicians prospered, but the jobs left and the factories closed. The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. Their victories have not been your victories. Their triumphs have not been your triumphs. And while they celebrated in our nation's capital, there was little to celebrate for struggling families all across our land.
Syria may be off the front pages, but the situation there is
terrible.
It's
still
awful.
dire, yeah.
We have the Defense Secretary Ash Carter in Brussels convening leaders there tomorrow, including Arab states, asking them to do more. They say that we need more U.S. leadership, that we should commit U.S. ground troops. Should we commit U.S. ground troops?
Well, Syria is a whole different thing, and you look at what's happening. I view ISIS as very important. And I love the fact that Russia is hitting ISIS. And as far as I'm concerned, they've got to continue to hit ISIS.
But you know what Russia is doing in Syria? Russia is hitting, the groups that we're backing.
Sure. And why are we backing the group? We don't even know who those people are. I speak to generals. They're saying we're giving billions of dollars of equipment to people we have no... Here we go again. We're giving all of this money and all of this equipment to people we have no idea who they are. They're probably worse than Assad. I mean, Assad's no baby. He's not good. But who are the people that we're backing? Here we go again with Libya.
That's President Obama's argument.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's good.
Who the weapons would fall into whose hands.
We have no idea. Well, why is he doing that? I mean, he's giving them a lot of weaponry, and we're backing people that want to knock out Assad. Russia and Iran, which is now a power, we've made them a power, they're backing Assad. We've got to get rid of ISIS. We've got to get rid of the people that are chopping off everybody's head.
You say you have a good relationship with Putin, or would have a good relationship?
I think I would have a very good relationship, but who knows?
So could you convince Putin to get Assad to step aside?
Well, they've been trying to do that. Could I? I don't think it's that important, to be honest with you. I think, frankly, let's say you get rid of Assad or you knock out that government. Who's going to take over? The people that we're backing, and then you're going to have, like, Libya, right? You take Gaddafi. Oh, we have to get rid of Gaddafi. Look what happened after we got rid of Gaddafi. Look what happened after we got rid of Gaddafi.
Gaddafi was a mistake.
It was just, to me, it was a total mistake. I mean, Benghazi was the least. Look at what's going on over there. It's a mess. Nobody knows anything about anything. You look at Saddam Hussein. We get rid of Saddam Hussein, the terrorist. It's the Harvard of terrorists.
So getting rid of Gaddafi and getting rid of Saddam Hussein were both mistakes.
Had we not done anything, had our politicians gone to the beach and enjoyed the sun, we would be in a lot better position than we are right now. Saddam Hussein, no good guy, but Saddam Hussein killed terrorists. Now Iraq is the Harvard of terror. You want to become a terrorist, go to Iraq. They'll teach you how, okay? Saddam Hussein was a bad guy. But, you know, one other thing he did, he blocked Iran. I mean, once you knocked out that section, all of us, and I said it, in 2003, 2004, I was against the war. I said, you're going to have the Middle East is going to be a mess. They used to fight forever. They couldn't move. They go 10 feet one way, 10 feet the other. Now you have a total destabilization in the Middle East because we knocked out one of the blocks.
What's the difference in your appeal and Bernard Sanders' appeal? Because they both are appealing to arguments, they seem to be receptive arguments against the establishment.
Well, I think I am a little bit against the establishment, and he probably is also. I tell you, the one thing we have in common is trade. The only difference is he can't do anything about it. I can. He knows that China's ripping us, and he admits it. And he knows Japan and Vietnam, that's the new one on the block, by the way. They're ripping us big league in Mexico. And I do too. The difference is I can do something about it. I will take those deals and make them great.
It's great to have you here.
Yes, thank you,
It's
Donald
nice
Trump.
to be with you, Joe.
Yes.
We hope
Nice
that you'll
to be with
return.
you.
Yes, come
I
back,
will.
please.
I will.
And
I'd love
we'll
to do it by phone. I mean, if you have any
No,
phoners.
no.
How about some phoners?
It's good to see you in person.
We want
Charlie,
you to
it's
get
great to hear
dressed.
you.
We want you to get dressed
No,
and
no,
out
I
of your
know.
pajamas and come.
I'll be back.
And
I'll be back.
we'll see you at the debate.
The 45th United States President is said to be anti-establishment, which in a sense is true, because he is against the current established global authority. However, that does not mean one established authority cannot be replaced with another. Political commentators have expressed concern that the Trump presidency could turn into a right-wing, evangelical, neoliberal fascist regime.
Father, we thank you in the name of Jesus that you raise up a man for such a time as this. God, we ask you right now that your choice is this choice. We believe, Lord God, that you ordain things. You said all authority is of you. Now, God, I ask that you would touch this man, Donald J. Trump. Give him the anointing to lead this nation.
The pendulum has swung from left to right, Democrats to Republicans, atheists to conservative Christians, pro-abortionists to pro-life, for gay marriage and against. Though Trump has distanced himself from gay marriage, stating he will let the states decide, the Democratic Party, or the left, under the Obama administration, was a Jesuit-controlled operation from start to finish. Trump and Obama are polar opposites. Obama was less conciliatory to the Zionist movement than his successor, as Trump is an advocate of Israel's plan to continue building West Bank settlements. He is a supporter of the Zionist movement in the strictest sense, meaning the development and protection of a Jewish state like so many other Christians. Although the Bible clearly says that Israel is a theocracy, is finished and not under the protection of God, behold, your house is left unto you desolate. Matthew 23:38. It is fascinating that some Christians hold the state of Israel in adoration, even though the Jews crucified Jesus.
And signal his desire to shift U.S.-Israel relations. During the election, he said he would move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem.
Obama has ridiculed Trump publicly.
And I know just the guy to do it. Donald Trump is here tonight. Now, I know that he's taken some flack lately, but no one is happier, no one is prouder to put this birth certificate matter to rest than the Donald. And that's because he can finally get back to focusing on the issues that matter. Like, did we fake the moon landing? What really happened in Roswell? And where are Biggie and Tupac? All kidding aside, obviously we all know about your credentials and breadth of experience. For example, no, seriously, just recently in an episode of Celebrity Apprentice, at the steakhouse, The men's cooking team did not impress the judges from Omaha Steaks. And there was a lot of blame to go around, but you, Mr. Trump, recognized that the real problem was a lack of leadership. And so ultimately you didn't blame Little John or Meatloaf. You fired Gary Busey. And these are the kind of decisions that would keep me up at night.
It'd be safe to say that Trump will trash Obama's legacy of imposing a Jesuit socialist agenda such as Obamacare, as well as Obama's legacy of enabling terrorists such as ISIS to further their goals.
The first order of business is to repeal and replace Obamacare. And that was our message today, and it'll be our message on Capitol Hill. And it needs to be done, not just as a promise kept, but because in the course of this election, the American people had a choice. And what appeared to many as against all odds, oftentimes with overwhelming opposition, our president-elect took his case to the American people to repeal and replace Obamacare, and the American people voted decisively for a better future for health care in this country.
The Obama administration was left red-faced when Russia started bombing ISIS oil targets that bankrolled terrorism. Obama was groomed to fulfill the presidential role to further the New World agenda, not only by the establishment, but also by the Roman Catholic Jesuit order, which is liberal and left-wing in nature. However, the Jesuit order is chameleon-like, playing all sides including right-wing politics, as seen in World War II. Himmler modelled the SS on the Jesuit order, as his uncle was a Jesuit priest. The Vatican is a patron of the Democratic Party, even though it is mostly atheistic and liberal. Vatican Council II planned to overthrow Protestantism, and nothing does more of a sure work than liberalism, atheism, and licentiousness. Republicanism and Protestantism is the secret of the United States' prosperity. Those nations that worship idols don't do so well. These include, of course, the Roman Catholic nations, which are third world and don't succeed like Protestant nations. Although Trump did partially have a Jesuit education, he has been for the most part shunned by the Vatican United States geopolitical elite. Pope Francis' New World Order agenda was secretly pushed by the Obama administration, which was saturated by Jesuit-trained staff. The plan was to implement incremental changes, including the passage of Roman Catholic Mexicans into the United States to increase the Pope's political power. This would pave the way for an increased opportunity for a legislated Sunday law, which is a direct violation of the First Amendment of the Constitution. The Pope more or less told Catholics to vote for Hillary Clinton after the Mexican Wall dispute.
A person who thinks only about building walls, wherever they may be located, and not building bridges is not a Christian. This is not in the gospel. As far as what you said about whether I would advise to vote or not vote, I am not going to get involved in that. I say only that this man is not a Christian if he has said things like that.
And I'm a very good Christian because the Pope said something to the effect that maybe Donald Trump isn't Christian, okay? And he's questioning my faith. I was very surprised to see it, but I am a Christian. I'm proud of it. Okay, for a religious leader to question a person's faith is disgraceful. I'm proud to be a Christian, and as president, I will not allow Christianity to be consistently attacked and weakened, unlike what is happening.
Pope Francis has his tail between his legs, asking for dialogue with the new administration. Trump has given some speeches that reach out to Roman Catholics, but he would be foolish to align himself with the Pope, since the curses far outweigh the blessings.
Catholics are an important part of the American story. America has been strengthened by hardworking Catholics. From New York to California, the Catholic story is truly unique, and it's a great story. From marching for civil rights to educating millions of children, serving the poor, and helping define the pro-life movement, clergy and lay Catholics across the country have made countless contributions to the American success and the American success story. Washington politicians have been hostile to the church, they have been hostile to Catholics, they have been hostile to the members of Catholicism. My administration will stand side by side with the American Catholics to promote the values we all share as Christians and Americans. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. We will make America great again.
You mentioned recently that you're a Christian, that you go to church. How important is your faith to Donald Trump?
Very important. I'm a Protestant. I'm a Presbyterian. Very important. I'm a believer. I'm also, busy and probably busier than I should be. But I am a Christian. I'm Protestant. I'm Presbyterian.
Pro-life?
I'm pro-life.
Gay marriage? Where do you stand?
I'm against gay marriage. And, not easy to do in New York, but I'm against. And I have changed views on different things over the years.
Like?
Well, like pro-life. I was always torn by it. I'm very much, to take the other extreme, very much in favor of the death penalty, especially for terrorists and especially for people that, killers that you see so many where the girls are being killed and then they capture these guys. I am so for the death penalty.
On the other side of the Atlantic, the modus operandi was to flood the European Union with Muslim refugees, which would allow the geopolitical elite to divide and conquer, further neutralizing any national identity, preparing the world to be carved up into 10 regions as proposed by the Club of Rome. The actual agenda of the New World Order establishment was to remove secular leaders from Iraq, Libya and Syria, so that Sharia law can rule over the population under an administration subservient to the US-Vatican alliance, that the wishes of the Pope to enact a global Sunday law will be dutifully fulfilled. Perhaps this is why Hillary Clinton received donations from regimes who wish to implement Sharia laws such as Saudi Arabia, who also host the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. The agenda of OIC is to enact Sharia law that would also fulfill the role of evicting Christians in the Middle East and checking the spread of Christianity, which suits the Vatican. You may find this contradictory, but the Vatican is not necessarily trying to bring people to Jesus, but to bring honour and worship to itself. This would be achieved through a national Sunday law, which is actually pagan sun worship, not the worship of God, but more on that subject later. Behind the scenes, many Islamic leaders have compromised with the New World Order agenda and the 10-region plan to secure their seats of power in such as the oppressive monarchies of Saudi, Bahrain, etc. The US-Vatican alliance is not looking for partners, but client states.
Greetings, I'm Governor Mike Pence. It's my honor this year to serve as the Republican nominee for Vice President of the United States with my running mate, Donald Trump. I'm grateful to be able to join you, if only by videotape, but I'm not sure how they introduce me. The introduction I prefer is pretty short. I'm a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican in that order. President Donald Trump will appoint justices to the Supreme Court who will uphold our Constitution and the rights of the unborn. Donald Trump will also sign into law legislation that will free up the voices of faith all across this country by repealing what's come to be known as the Johnson Amendment. The Johnson Amendment's literally been on the books since the 1950s, and it essentially threatens tax-exempt organizations and churches with losing their tax status if they speak out on important issues facing the nation from the pulpit. Donald Trump and I are both committed to work with renewed Republican majorities in the House and the Senate to repeal the Johnson Amendment once and for all.
Vice President Mike Pence is a perfect example of an individual promoting the image of the beast. In his childhood and early adulthood, Pence was a Roman Catholic. While in college, he became an evangelical, born-again Christian. His political views also started shifting from left to right during this time in his life. Here we see the mixture of Roman Catholicism and apostate Protestantism, as Pence still holds his Roman Catholic roots in high regard and receives communion. Those who are interested in the prophetic role of the United States in the Bible should study Revelation 13, which describes two powers working together in the last days. These two powers, or beasts, in Revelation 13 are two kingdoms. A beast is symbolic of a kingdom or political power, as confirmed in Daniel 7:23. Thus he said, "The fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth." The beast, or kingdom, that rises up out of the sea, signifying a densely populated area, just as a sea of people is also used today to describe many people, which points to the papacy coming out of the heart of Europe. The second beast comes out of the earth, meaning a sparsely populated area, pointing to the United States of America. Revelation 13, verses 11 to 12. Then I saw a second beast coming up out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. It exercised all the authority of the first beast on its behalf, and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose fatal wound had been healed. These 2 Bible verses predict that the United States of America will make an image of the beast, forcing the people of the world to worship or reverence the day that was created by the Roman Catholic Church. Sunday cannot be found anywhere in the Bible, and is the pagan sun worship day. Practically everything Protestants regard as essential or important they have received from the Catholic Church. The Protestant mind does not seem to realise that in accepting the Bible and observing the Sunday, and keeping Christmas and Easter, they are accepting the authority for the spokesman of the Church, the Pope. Our Sunday Visitor, February the 5th, 1950. He exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Revelation 13:12.
That's because Sunday is a day of worship. You're supposed to be in a Christian church. But wait a second, aren't we supposed to have religious freedom in America? Some religions worship on different days. Because blue laws, which date back to colonial times, still ban that in a dozen states. Originally, they outlawed regular Sunday work. No buying, no selling, traveling, public entertainment, or sports even.
People, it's baked in, have always had this temptation to let work crowd out all the other things that matter. Family, faith, and they have to be told again and again, knock it off, don't work. It's interesting. You think people are lazy, but they work too much.
Americans work too much.
Maybe, but they should certainly be able to choose their own days off. The idea that somehow a bunch of guys in a state capital somewhere know what's best for us in terms of, how many days off we take and when we take them.
In order for the United States to form an image of the beast, the religious power must so control the civil government that the authority of the state will also be employed by the church to accomplish her own ends. The image to the beast represents that form of apostate Protestantism which will be developed when the Protestant churches shall seek the aid of the civil power for the enforcement of their dogmas. When Sunday observance shall be enforced by law, and the world shall be enlightened concerning the obligation of the true Sabbath, then whoever shall transgress the command of God to obey a precept which has no higher authority than that of Rome, will thereby honour popery above God. He is paying homage to Rome and to the power which enforces the institution ordained by Rome.
Yes.
You say to them, look, I have to have the Sabbath off, which may I just confess that I learned in my first meeting with Devon. All these years I thought the Sabbath was Sunday. I've been going to church. We say worship on the Sabbath, worship on the Sabbath in the Baptist church. And you corrected me. You said, no, Sunday is the first day of the week. Sabbath is Friday sundown to Saturday sundown.
That's right.
I stand corrected.
He is worshipping the beast and his image. As men then reject the institution which God has declared to be the sign of his authority, and honour instead that which Rome has chosen as the token of her supremacy, they will thereby accept the sign of allegiance to Rome, the mark of the beast.